Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Unfiltered and Unapologetic, the space where we don't fake the funk, where we heal out loud, name what hurts, and stop shrinking ourselves just to belong. I'm your host, Caitlin Gil-Soto, a Dominican woman born and raised in Lawrence, Massachusetts, shaped by summers between Bani El Cibao and the Dominican Republic. I was raised in two worlds, one full of joy, sazon, and rhythm, and another that taught me how to survive, grind, and silence myself when things hurt. And if I'm being honest, today's episode has lived in my bones for a long time because many of us have carried a kind of shame that doesn't even belong to us. It was passed down, projected, planted in us like a seed we never asked for. And the place where it grows the fastest in our bodies. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you've stood in front of a mirror and only seen what needed to be fixed. Maybe you've skipped events, skipped meals, skipped joy, waiting for your joy to look like somebody else's timeline. Maybe your relationship with food, mirrors, or movement has never felt peaceful, just punishing. Today, we're unpacking that body shame, the beauty myths, the unspoken pain we've inherited. Because this isn't just about self esteem, it's about colonization, it's about survival, it's about generational healing. This is for the ones who've been called gordita or gordito as a greeting, myself included. For the ones who skipped meals, skipped mirrors, skipped joy. For the ones who've worn fajas to family parties and still didn't feel good enough. That's also called a girdle. Sorry, guys. For the ones who binge, restrict, obsess, and spiral, but never call it what it is because in Dominican culture, we don't speak about those things. We're talking about body dysmorphia. We're talking about the colonized standard of beauty that's been sold to us like it was gospel. We're talking about why Dominican food is not the enemy, shame is. We're talking about how this culture wounds women and silences men. And we're talking about how to come home to your body with grace, softness, and truth. So grab your journal, your cafecito, or your tea, and get ready to feel, reflect, and release. Because today, we're reclaiming the mirror. We're honoring the vessel God gave us. We're settling the shame down and picking up something holier. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start where most of us did. The moment we were old enough to be seen. In Dominican culture, bodies are noticed before personalities. You walk into a room and before anyone says hi, they've already scanned you. Already decided if you look good or if you let go of yourself. And if you gained weight, the greeting becomes a diagnosis. Oh, you gained weight, or worse, a memory turned insult. You're pretty or you're cute until you gained weight. It doesn't matter if you just graduated, got promoted, healed from something heavy, or finally found the peace. If your body doesn't match the colonial blueprint of beauty, you're dismissed, labeled, laughed at, or hit with unsolicited advice disguised as concern. And that standard, it's not even ours. Let's name it a colonized ideal. The beauty standard we inherited came through the violence of erasure. Light skin, thin waist, curvy hips, flat stomach, no belly or back rolls, no stretch marks, good hair, meaning straight, tamed, and unthreatening. That's not sacred. That's systemic. That's not God. That's the gaze of the oppressor. Our ancestors didn't hate their softness. They didn't bleach their skin or slice their stomachs to feel worthy. They honored their hips, their wrinkles, their rhythm. They dressed in joy, not in shame. But we were taught to fear what they celebrated. So now we wear waist trainers instead of praise. We call our thighs problems instead of power. We dream of disappearing when all we've ever wanted was to be seen. And today we're seeing more and more people, especially in our culture, turning to surgery to feel enough. from lipo to BBLs to body sculpting and contouring. And let's be real, this is not about shaming anyone. This is about addressing the big elephant in the room. You never know what someone's been through to want that change. Sometimes it's about pressure, sometimes it's about wanting to feel safe in your body, and sometimes it's just about being tired of the comments. But here's the truth nobody talks about. Even after the transformation, the shame doesn't always leave because the wound isn't just physical. It's emotional, it's cultural, it's generational. And a lot of the things we're told to get rid of, they're actually signs of strength. Thick thighs, that is not a flaw, that's strength. The muscles in your legs are some of the biggest muscles in your whole body. They help with balance, movement, and keeping your blood sugar steady. Having strong thighs is actually a sign that your body's working hard to keep you healthy. Your belly, it might be bigger when you're stressed, but that's not your fault. When you go through a lot, your body holds on to fat in the middle to protect you. It's how your system reacts to survival mode. That doesn't make you lazy. It means your body is doing what it knows to do. Stretch marks, they're proof that your body has grown and made space. Maybe from pregnancy, maybe from weight changes, maybe from healing. They're not ugly. They're your body's way of saying, look how far we've come. This isn't about vanity. It's about survival. In a world that tells you your worth is tied to desirability, fitting the mold becomes protection. If you're pretty enough, maybe they won't criticize you. If you're put together, maybe no one will question your pain. If you shrink enough, maybe they'll leave you alone. But shrinking doesn't equal safety. It means you're vanishing on purpose. And here's what I want you to hear today. You were not made to vanish. You were made in the image of God, and that means your body is not a mistake. Your belly, your thighs, your scars, your softness, none of it is random. It's divine design. Florence Scovel Shinn once said, there is no loss in divine mind. Nothing is ever lost that belongs to you by divine right. And your body, your shape, your rhythm, your presence, it belongs to you by divine right. You don't owe anyone symmetry. You don't owe the world an explanation for taking up space. You owe yourself reverence. Okay, I have some journal prompts here for you guys. What parts of your body were you taught to critique instead of cherish? Who did you learn those critiques from, and who benefits when you keep believing them? How would it feel to reclaim your body as sacred instead of flawed? And the affirmation for these questions are: my body is not a mistake. I am divinely made. I choose reverence over criticism. Let's tell the truth though. Body dysmorphia doesn't start at the gym. It starts at home. It starts in the living room when your uncle sees you after a few months, and instead of saying, hi, how are you? He says, oh, you look like you gained some weight. What are you eating? It starts in the kitchen when your mom casually compares your body to your cousin's, like it's just conversation. It starts when your abuela serves you a plate with love and a side of guilt. And before you even know what dysmorphia means, you've already learned that your body is up for public discussion. You learn if you eat everything on your plate, you have no control. But if you say no to seconds, you're acting brand new. If you gain weight, you're lazy. If you lose weight, everyone wants to know the secret, even if it was stress, heartbreak, or depression. You laugh it off, smile through the comments, but inside, you start shrinking. Not just physically, emotionally. You avoid mirrors, you wear baggy clothes, you compare yourself at the salon, at the beach, at family events. You think something's wrong with you, but it's not just about you. A lot of those comments, they're projections. And let me break that down. A projection is when someone hasn't healed their own pain, so they hand it to you. Like secondhand smoke. You didn't ask for it, but you breathe it anyway. Many of our mothers, tias, and abuelas were taught to hate their bodies. They weren't given softness, just sacrifice. They didn't learn self love, they learned survival. And so the shame got passed down one generation to the next. That shame shows up everywhere in how we eat, what we wear, how we dance or don't dance, and how we talk to ourselves when no one's around. Some of our caregivers were literally starving while raising us, emotionally, spiritually, physically. So when they commented on your body, it wasn't always about you. It was about the body they couldn't forgive in their own reflection. They were once that little girl or that teen or that tired grown up, punished and praised based on size. And this isn't just a women's issue. Dominican men are suffering too, just in silence. They're expected to be strong, built, unbothered, but they get hit with comments like, damn, you have a big stomach now, or you don't go to the gym, and you looked good before. What happened now? So they overtrain, they restrict, they binge, they joke about their own bodies before someone else can. They stop dancing, they skip pool days. They stay fully dressed even in the heat, not because they don't want to have fun, but because they don't feel good enough. Many carry disordered eating and body shame under the label of discipline. Some avoid intimacy, some bury themselves in protein powder and silence, thinking muscles will fix what shame broke. And because therapy is still taboo in a lot of our families, they hold it all in until it leaks out as anger, isolation, addiction, even as disconnection, or all four. And the sad part, we normalize it. We call it tough love. We call it, that's just how Dominicans are. We internalize it, we carry it. And if we're not careful, we'll pass it on too. I have a journal prompt here for you guys. What negative thoughts do you have about your body that might have started with someone else's voice? And the affirmation for this question is, I return what was never mine to carry. I speak life into my reflection. I break the cycle with compassion, not silence. Sometimes the enemy isn't the mirror. It's the voice we carry inside. The one that sounds just like us but isn't really ours. You know the one. The voice that says, you'll never be enough. Don't wear that. You know how you look. You don't deserve softness or joy until you lose weight. It doesn't scream, it whispers. So quietly, so often that you start believing it. And once that voice becomes a loop, it starts shaping everything. The way you walk into rooms, the way you dress, the way you eat or don't eat, the way you punish your body instead of caring for it. But that voice, that's not really you. It's your mom's voice when she grabbed your waist, your aunt's voice when she said you'd look better if you lost a few pounds. It's every girl who got praised for being skinny. Every music video that taught you what desirable is supposed to look like. Every moment you felt unworthy and decided to tear yourself down before anyone else could. And when that soundtrack plays long enough, it becomes your reality. That's how disordered eating starts. And let's be clear, disordered eating doesn't always look extreme. Sometimes it's skipping meals and calling it being disciplined. It's overeating in secret and then feeling ashamed. Sometimes it's eating to cope with emotions and then starving yourself the next day to make up for it. And in many Dominican homes, we don't call it what it is. We don't say eating disorder. We say things like, they've been watching what they eat, or they let themselves go, or they're doing too much. We talk around the pain. We avoid the truth. And because we don't name it, we don't treat it. We don't ask for help. We just keep living in cycles of guilt, shame, silence, and self-sabotage. And this affects everyone, not just women. Dominican men hear the same messages, just in different language. They're expected to be lean, but not muscular, strong, but not too into their looks, disciplined, but quiet about it. So they bury it. They hit the gym obsessively or avoid it completely. They say they're bulking or cutting, but really they're scared of not being wanted anymore. They laugh about it, but behind the humor, there's grief. They don't feel like themselves, but don't know how to say that out loud. And here's what we forget: your body hears everything you say. Every time you think, I hate this, or you avoid mirrors, or every time you insult yourself before someone else can, your nervous system hears that as danger. Your body reacts, your digestion slows, your stress levels rise, your energy drops, your immune system gets weaker. Chronic shame doesn't just affect your emotions, it affects your body. It keeps you stuck in survival mode. It makes healing harder. Florence Scovel Shinn once said, your word is your wand. The words you speak create your reality. So ask yourself, what are you creating when you speak harm over your body every morning? What kind of energy are you feeding when you punish yourself just for existing? You can't create peace while speaking to yourself with hatred. You can't glow while tearing yourself down. Healing starts the moment you interrupt the soundtrack. I have some journal prompts here for you guys. What thoughts do you hear when you look at your body? Where did those words come from? And whose voice is it really? What would it sound like to speak to yourself with care and respect instead? And the affirmations for these questions are: my voice is no longer a weapon. I speak to my body with compassion. I reclaim my words and I use them to heal. All right, now let's talk about energy. Because whether you realize it or not, your body speaks before you say a word. Not just through what you wear, but through how you walk into a room, through how you carry yourself, through what you believe about yourself deep down. And that energy, it's shaped by your mindset. If you're carrying shame, you move like you're trying not to be seen. If you're carrying worth, you move like you belong, like you deserve to take up space. And the world responds to that. We attract what we believe we deserve. So if you believe you're only worthy when you're skinny, you'll settle for love that only shows up when you're shrinking. If you believe you have to change your body to be beautiful, you'll keep putting joy on hold, waiting for a version of yourself that doesn't even exist yet. But that version, the better you that you're waiting to become, it's not more real than the you that's here right now. Right now, you are whole, even if you don't feel like it yet. Your mindset is a magnet. It calls in relationships, opportunities, and experiences that reflect what you believe, not just what you post. You can wear the outfit, you can hit the gym, you can say all that affirmations, but if your inner voice is still saying, I'm not enough, nobody will love me like this, I looked better before, then that's the energy you're putting out. The world will mirror it back. You'll find people who confirm your fear. You'll date people who make you feel small. You'll miss out on joy, not because you aren't worthy, but because your energy is saying, I'm not ready, don't look at me. And that includes men too. A lot of Dominican men walk into rooms full of quiet insecurity, covered by jokes and confidence that isn't always real. They stay at the edge of the dance floor saying, I'm good, when they're really not. They avoid being in photos. They skip beach days. They don't take off their shirts, not because they don't want to have fun, but because they don't feel desirable anymore. They don't say it out loud, but you can feel it and you can see it. But you don't have to be loud to be magnetic. You have to be aligned. You have to believe your presence, just as you are, carries value. That your softness is not weakness, that your joy is not something to earn, that your fullness in energy and body and soul isn't something to shrink, but something to honor. Florence Scovel Shinn said, there is no separation of mind and body. What you impress on the subconscious, you express in your body and in your world. So if you want to change how the world sees you, start with how you see you. Start with the mirror. Start with the words you speak when you're getting dressed. Start with how you talk to yourself before anyone else gets the chance to. That's the real law of attraction. It's not just about what you want. It's about what you believe you deserve. So I have some journal prompts here for you guys. What quiet beliefs do you hold about your body that you've never said out loud? What kind of energy do you give off when you walk into a room? What would it feel like to move through life with confidence, even before the before and after story? And the affirmation for these questions are: I no longer shrink to feel safe. My body reflects love, power, and peace. My body is already worthy of the life I desire. All right. Now we're going to talk about when body shame makes you miss your life. Shame doesn't always show up out loud. Sometimes it hides in small decisions. It sounds like, I'm just staying in tonight. I just don't like being in pictures. I've just got a lot going on. But if we're being honest, you didn't go to the lake because you didn't want to be seen in a bathing suit. You skipped the baby shower because nothing fit the way it used to. You ghosted the family barbecue because you knew the comments were coming. What happened to you? You used to be slimmer. You've been eating a lot of rice, huh? So you stayed home, scrolled through stories, said you were tired, and maybe you were, but maybe you were just tired of being picked apart. That's what shame does. It isolates you quietly. It convinces you that your absence is safer than your presence. At first, it's skipping a birthday cookout. Then it's avoiding photos. Then it's turning down plans to go out with friends to the beach, the park, the club, or the family house. Before you know it, life is happening and you're not in it. You're functioning, but you're not showing up. Not as a version of you that dances when merengue típico hits. Not the version that laughs loud at domino tables. Not the one that gets seconds of sancocho without apologizing. And the hardest part, no one notices you're disappearing because you're still posting, still texting, still showing up enough to not raise concern. But inside you're grieving the joy you no longer feel present for. And let's get something straight. Not all weight gain means laziness. Not everyone let themselves go. Some are on medication. Some are dealing with hormone issues, PCOS or thyroid changes. Some are in recovery. Some are burnt out. Some are finally safe enough to rest and their body is responding. Others are healing from disordered eating and their body is learning balance again. Some are grieving and food became comfort in a world that gave no room to breathe. And this just isn't about women. Men are hurting too. The men who used to love beach days now stay fully dressed. Men who once danced freely at every party stand in the corner with their arms crossed saying, I'm good right here. They remember who they used to be and miss that version. But no one checks in because Dominican men aren't supposed to feel insecure. So they disappear slowly. They get quieter. They stop showing up. And let's be real, this isn't about the body. It's about identity. It's about belonging. It's about not feeling enough anymore and not knowing how to say that out loud. But listen closely. You were not created to live in hiding. You were not born to only feel worthy at your goal weight. Joy is not something you have to earn. It's your inheritance. You deserve to be in the photo with your cousins, to sit by the pool with your plate of pastelón and not sucking your stomach, to wear the outfit even if your body isn't there yet, to laugh, to flirt, to dance again. Florence Scovel Shinn said, God's plans for you are always joyous and perfect. Shame is not a part of that plan. Shrinking is not a part of that plan. You are. And I have some questions here for you. What Dominican events or moments have you skipped or shrunk yourself in because of body shame? What would it look like to return to those spaces as your full self? No apology, no shrinking. And the affirmation for these questions are, I will not miss my own life. My softness is not a problem. It is a part of my story. I was born to be seen, included, and celebrated, just as I am. Loving your body isn't always loud. It's not always mirror selfies or empowerment captions. Sometimes it's quiet. It's brushing your hair gently after years of tearing yourself down. It's eating dinner without guilt. It's finally buying clothes that fit the body you have today, not the one you hope to earn later. Because healing isn't linear and self love isn't an aesthetic, it's spiritual. But let's be real, loving your body doesn't mean you'll love every inch every day. That's not realistic and it's not the point. The point is choosing respect over punishment. To remember that hating your body was never your destiny, it was a wound passed down. And the wounds, they are not identity, they are meant to be healed. Growing up, many of us weren't told our bodies were sacred. We were told they were tools, decorations, something to shrink when we gained weight, and something to show off only when we were doing good. But your body is not a billboard for approval. It is the vessel of your soul. There's no number on a scale that makes you more holy. There's no body shape that makes you more worthy of softness. Your body has already survived so much. That stomach has laughed through family dinners. Those arms have held people you love through heartbreak and funerals. That skin has carried sunlight from summers in Bani, El Cibao, or wherever you grew up in. That chest has carried silent pain and still rose for another day. How dare we look at that and call it not enough? Your body is proof of your resilience, but your softness, it's not weakness, it's a legacy. Your abuela might have never used the word self-love, but you saw it in how she oiled her legs with coconut water after a shower. How she stood over a stove, hips swaying, feeding generations with love. How she sat on the church bench, back straight, never once apologizing for how much space she took up. Even if they didn't have the language, our elders were living in ceremony. This healing, it's not brand new. It's ancestral memory returning. And science is finally catching up to what our spirits already knew. The way you speak to your body changes how your body functions. When you constantly criticize yourself, your brain sends stress signals, which raises cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And when cortisol stays high, it becomes harder to lose weight, to sleep, to focus, to feel safe. Chronic guilt can affect your digestion. Self-hate can throw off your hormones. Your body cannot heal while it's stuck in survival mode. This is why faith and body acceptance are not separate. If you believe God doesn't make mistakes, if you believe you were created with intention, then your body, exactly as it is right now, is part of that divine plan. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote, "Infinite Spirit, open the way for the divine design of my life to manifest. Let the genius within me be released." And your body, that's part of the divine design. Your thighs are not the enemy. Your belly is not a sin. Your softness is not failure. It's proof you are alive. To rest is holy. To nourish yourself is praise. To live in your body fully, unapologetically, is a return to God. This isn't about vanity. It's about remembering who made you and choosing to honor the design. I have a couple questions here for you guys. What messages about your body did you internalize growing up that now you realize were harmful? What spiritual truths are you ready to replace them with? What would it feel like to treat your body as something sacred instead of something to fix? The affirmation for these questions are, my body is a sacred vessel. I was created with intention, not error. I am divinely designed and I choose peace over punishment. But let's break the myth once and for all. Dominican food is not the problem. Rice is not the villain. Plátanos are not making you sick. And sazon is not something to fear. What's harming us isn't the food. It's the shame we eat it with. The guilt we carry with every bite. The belief that our ancestral plates are bad, while bland protein bars and iceberg lettuce are praised as clean. But let's be real. Our food is balanced when we eat it with presence, care, and without extremes. Look at our classics. Arroz con habichuela, which is rice and beans. Carbs for energy, protein, and fiber. Pollo guisado or bacalao. I don't know how to say bacalao in English, but pollo guisado, stewed chicken. Iron, minerals, flavor, and strength. Plátanos, batata, and yuca, which is plantains, sweet potato, and cassave, are they have potassium and natural starches that fuel the body and feed the gut. Aguacate, which is avocados, healthy fats that help your brain, skin, and hormones. Last but not least, sazon. Sazon is immune boosting, anti-inflammatory, and helps you feel full of joy. It's not the mango, it's the emotional weight we attach to the plate. It's starving all day to be good and then binging later in secret. It's skipping meals out of punishment. It's fearing rice but trusting processed food because a package says low fat. We weren't taught balance, we were taught extremes. Eat nothing or eat everything and feel guilty. Be good with food or feel like a failure. But food isn't moral, it's cultural, it's emotional, it's spiritual. For many of us, food was survival. You watched your mom stretch chicken over 4 plates. Your dad came home from long shift and filled his plate to feel full in his belly and in his spirit. Your abuela seasoned everything by hand like it was sacred, because it was. So how can we turn around and shame the very food that raised us? We don't need a new diet. We need peace. And if you haven't already, go back and listen to episode 6, Deficiency or Disconnection. Because some of what we label as emotional eating is actually your body asking for help. Your cravings might not be about weakness. They might be about vitamin deficiencies that are draining your energy, clarity, and emotional stability. When you're low in vitamin D, iron, magnesium, or B vitamins, you can feel tired, moody, foggy, and drawn to comfort food. Not because you lack discipline, but because your body is missing something essential. Your body isn't betraying you, it's trying to get your attention. Florence Scovel Shinn once said, "Faith without fear is food for the soul." So ask yourself, are you eating in fear or in faith? Because no plate is healing if your thoughts are violent. No meal is nourishing if you're punishing yourself while chewing it. You cannot digest joy while swallowing shame. And yes, emotional eating is real, but emotional eating isn't always disordered. Sometimes it's cultural, it's memory, it's comfort when the world gave you none. The key is learning the difference between soothing yourself and avoiding yourself. You're not weak because you love food. You're not behind because your body gains weight differently than someone else's. You're not better when you're hungry. You're just tired. Your body deserves consistency, your culture deserves respect, and your plate deserves peace. I have some questions here for you guys. What food rules did you grow up with that created guilt or fear? What Dominican dishes make you feel the most nourished physically and emotionally? How can you bring more presence, pleasure, and compassion to your relationship with food? And the affirmations for these questions are: my food is a gift, not a punishment. My culture nourishes me. I eat in faith, not in fear. I release shame and invite balance. All right, so let's be real now. Dominican women carry the heaviest weight of this shame. And not just on our hips or bellies, but in our spirit. From a young age, we're taught that our value lives in how we look, how desirable we are, how small we can become in body, presence, and personality. We're expected to be feminine, but not take up too much space. To look good, but not be vain. To stay fit, but still serve everyone else first. If we gain weight, we're judged. If we lose weight, we're praised, even if it came from grief, heartbreak, illness, or depression. And in the background, there's always a whisper. She let herself go. She looked better before. Or she used to be prettier. And what's heartbreaking is those voices don't always come from strangers. Sometimes they come from the women who raised us, our mothers, our aunts, our grandmothers. They say it gently, they say it with love, they say it like advice, but it lands like shame. Because what they're really saying is stay desirable, it's how we learn to survive. Or don't let yourself go, that's when people stop loving you. And maybe that was true in their generation, but it doesn't have to be true in ours. We can name the harm without blaming the people. We can hold compassion for our mothers and still say, I will not pass this down. Because this isn't just a personal insecurity, it's patriarchal inheritance. We were raised to see our bodies as currency, as decoration, as something to manage, hide, or offer for approval. But your body is not public property. It does not exist for commentary. It is not a status symbol. It is your home. And healing that relationship starts with unlearning. It starts when you put the crop top on, even if your stomach isn't flat. It starts when you choose joy over judgment, even if your arms jiggle when you dance. It starts when you catch yourself about to say the same thing your mom said to you and stop. Because sometimes the most painful part isn't your body. It's realizing it was never the problem. The way people spoke about it was. And if you're a mother, a big sister, a madrina, a mentor, you have the power to speak differently. You get to plant the seeds. You get to tell the next generation you're already worthy. You do not have to shrink to be accepted. You don't have to earn softness. It's your birthright. I have some journal prompts here for you guys. How have cultural expectations of womanhood shaped your relationship with your body? What phrases or advice from older women still echo in your mind? What are you ready to stop passing down, even if it's uncomfortable to unlearn? The affirmation for these questions are: I was not born to be small or silent. I am allowed to take up space. I release inherited shame and choose reverence instead. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time talking about Dominican women and how they're taught to fear their bodies, to shrink, to compare, to stay desirable or risk being discarded. But let's not pretend that men are immune to this. They just learn a different kind of shame. From early on, Dominican boys are handed a script. Don't cry. You have to be strong. Start lifting weights. Don't act soft and be a man. And with just a few lines, they learn: don't be emotional, don't gain weight, don't show weakness, don't speak up, just fix it. But they don't say it out loud, because who would they say it to? They're expected to be providers, not feelers, to be solid, not vulnerable, to keep going no matter what it costs them. So the pain shows up in other ways: overtraining and obsessive dieting, skipping social events because of weight gain, avoiding intimacy, not from pride but from insecurity, joking about their own bodies before anyone else can, staying quiet even when they feel like they're disappearing, losing themselves but showing up anyway, pretending they're fine. And because therapy is still taboo in many Dominican households, they carry it in silence until it leaks out. It becomes anger, addiction, withdrawal, detachment. It becomes self-hate hidden under discipline. And let's be honest, this culture hurts our men too. It teaches them to worship their bodies and to abandon them, to link their worth to muscle and their shame to softness, to perform for approval instead of being accepted for who they really are. Some of them are hurting in plain sight. Men who used to dance now sit with their arms crossed. Men who used to laugh from the gut now stay quiet at the table. Men who used to show up for everything now say, I'm good, and disappear. But here's the truth. You don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to carry shame just because nobody taught you how to release it. You don't need to get back to who you were. You're allowed to become who you're meant to be now. You're allowed to feel. You're allowed to struggle. You're allowed to start again. You're not less of a man for wanting peace. You're not weak for craving safety. You're not broken. You're healing from generations of silence. This softness you're learning, it's not a threat to your masculinity. It's your return to wholeness. I have some questions here for you guys. What were you taught about how a man should look, act, or carry himself? Where do you still carry that pressure in your body or mindset today? What are you ready to release even if it scares you? And the affirmations for these questions are: I am strong enough to be soft. My worth is not tied to how I look, but to who I am. I give myself permission to heal without shame. If you've been skipping mirrors, if you've been skipping meals, skipping photos, skipping joy, this is your moment to come back. To stop abandoning yourself just because the world taught you to. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too far gone. You are not too soft, not too big, too visible, too much, too late. You are still here. And that means there's still time to rebuild trust within yourself, to eat with peace, to move with love, speak with care, and to choose presence over punishment. You don't need to lose weight to live. You don't need to punish yourself into healing. You don't need to earn rest, softness, or joy. You were born worthy, and no one, not even your inner critic, gets to take that from you. So here's a prayer. Say it with me, or let it say what your spirit has been trying to say all along. Put your hand on your chest and take a deep breath. And exhale. God, help me see myself through your eyes, not through fear, not through culture, not through comparison. Remind me I wasn't made to shrink. I was made to shine. Let my reflection become a place of truth, not torment. A place of grace, not punishment. Remind me that my belly is not a curse. That my thighs are not a problem. That my softness is not failure. They are part of the design. Let me walk in reverence, not restriction. Let me choose compassion, not control. And when I forget again, because I will, remind me gently, like a mother, like an abuela or a grandma, like a whisper in the kitchen after everyone's gone to sleep. You are sacred, you are enough, and you belong. Amen. I have some affirmations for you here. I come home to my body. I release the shame I was never meant to carry. I choose reverence, I choose softness, and I choose me. If this episode touched something in you, if it helped you name something, heal something, or feel less alone in your body, please don't keep it to yourself. Send it to your primos, your tias or tios, your boys, your gym group chats, your barbers, your hairstylists, your mom, anyone still at war with their reflection. Anyone who needs a reminder that softness is still allowed. Leave a 5-star review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment, give me a like. Tell me what landed. Tell me what cracked you open. I want to hear how this moved you for real. And if you want to help me keep this work going, to help me keep creating these long-form episodes, doing this deep emotional work, sharing cultural truth, spiritual healing, and radical softness week after week, you can now support this podcast with a small monthly donation. Click support the show in the link in the show notes and give what you can. Even a few dollars helps cover production time, research, and energy so I can keep this space free, raw, unfiltered, and unapologetic. Because this isn't just a podcast. It's a movement. It's medicine. It's a mirror. You can also follow me on TikTok at Kate La Jefa and Instagram at Caitlin La Jefa. And then the podcast page is at Unfiltered and Unapologetic Pod. And if you want to go even deeper into your healing, check out my blank journals available now on Amazon. Until next time, mi gente, be soft, be real, and be kind to the body that's carried you through it all.